We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. We're talking this morning about child sex abuse prevention. At the forefront of that is Our Kids. With us this morning is Sue White, Executive Director of the Our Kids organization. If you were with us last segment, she kind of talked about what they do, which is to help provide evaluations and care and help for the families and the victims of child sexual abuse.
Yes.
And a lot of times that assists the prosecution of those accused of these crimes. And what do you want to touch on next? There's a lot we wanted to hit on this morning, but I mean, this all cannot be done without the fundraising efforts.
Before we go there, I want to say one thing. We really value and appreciate so much our community partners, and those are the very brave people that work at the Department of Children's Services, the very brave people that, you know, are law enforcement, detectives, all those people, the wonderful people at all the child advocacy centers throughout Middle Tennessee, the assistant DAs, the pediatric practices that we support and communicate with, the emergency department, you know, personnel. I mean, we are in contact with a lot of people, and everyone is really doing brave work. Yep. It's hard.
You said, what are those meetings again? When the have you sat in on one of those?
Child Protective Investigative Team meetings.
Those are tough. I mean, I sat in one a long time ago, and I don't know after sitting through those, because basically you're going over cases that are going to be investigated and what's happened. If we're talking about the same meeting.
Yeah, so they are staffing every single child abuse case. Yeah. So it's physical abuse.
And so they're going into the details, and you're sitting there hearing this stuff. And I always wonder, you know, after you spend the evening going over all this, and it's a very important thing, I mean, that sticks with you, that stuff.
I think that it takes a special kind of person to do this work, and we believe in self-care. You know, and so that's all part of boosting our resilience as we work with children and families who are resilient, and we help them connect with their own strength and their own grit and resilience. And so we're very strength-based.
Yeah, well, you're right. Okay, so that entire staffing that's out there, okay, but then to get it to work, you know, you have to have one way or the other money or resources behind it.
Yes, and I'm just really thankful. And you know, you always tee it up so well. I'll tell you something. Well, so Soup Sunday is, I think that there is such a generosity of spirit, because it's the generous stepping forward and participation of all the restaurants that bring 10 gallons of soup and really want to win a prize. And this is, I mean, this is on Sunday. So
but there's something about soup. This is not a barbecue contest. No. This is not best burger. There's something warm and comforting about soup, especially in February. It is the perfect food. You could have chosen any type of food, and these restaurateurs would have stepped forward and cooked it for you. But soup is just, I think, the perfect dish for this occasion.
It's wonderful, and everybody loves soup. Yeah. And so, the generosity of the restaurants, we couldn't do it without them, and then the generosity of our sponsors. And so, Ford is our title sponsor, and they also provide tons of volunteers day out. They are just exquisite community partners and such just great people. And our presenting sponsor is U.S. Foods once again, and they are fantastic. And the mesh point for them is great, because many of their clients are these restaurants that come and participate. And other platinum Tureen sponsors are Rick French, J.E. Dunn, Lightning 100, Mitsui USA Foundation, Michael and Teresa Nacarado, Twice Daily, and Carol Wood, and we just, you know, there are many other sponsors, but you know, what's great is it's a triple win, because it's great for the you know, 1,500 people are attending. We've capped it at that so that the experience for everyone is more enhanced. So it's wonderful for the restaurants. It's, you know, it's wonderful for the families that come, because there's all these children's activities and there's a silent auction. It's wonderful for us because we hope to raise close to $150,000 to support Our Kids Clinic. So that's wonderful.
Gets the word out. It raises awareness, even doing shows like this talking about it. And it's, we should say, over there at the club section, of the football stadium, right?
Yes, it is at Nissan Stadium,
yeah.
Club Level West, which
indoors. It's indoors.
It's indoors.
Yeah.
I think that still is a destination, Nick. You know, it's
absolutely.
Up there. You've got these wonderful views, and the venue is perfectly suited.
Yeah.
All these counters where restaurants can line up, and
because the concessions
that
are normally in there. Well,
wonderful.
Especially for someone like me who sits in the nosebleeds outside in the stands. This is my chance to see the club seats. And when you get in there, she's right too about the view, because it's on the river side of the stadium. So you have all the soup and the tables set out, and it's really a nice setting. But you've got the skyline behind you. It's a nice setup.
And it's like free parking.
Yeah.
We make it so easy. It's just great. It's a wonderful thing.
Let's take a quick call from James. James, good morning. How are you, James?
Oh, fine, thank you. Nick, I have a question about this Brown, the governor's action on the Brown case. As I understand it, sex with a child by a 40-year-old man is a felony. Is that correct?
Well, okay, and we can talk about that. Okay, the cases, well, the thing is, there are some states where still marriage between an adult and a child, depending on the age, is legal. I don't even know if that comes down here in the state of Tennessee. But as far as an adult having sex with a child, yes. It's a felony. Now, depending on the age difference, is it statutory rape or something? But yeah, it is a felony, is it not?
Yes.
I mean,
and I need to. I should have the statute in front of me, which I don't. But clearly, that's wrong.
Right. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. And we've seen, unfortunately, some high-profile cases locally, nationally, where you see 11-year-olds turning up pregnant.
It's jarring. It's terrible.
Okay. And the individual who, and by the way, these days, DNA and everything. Right. I mean, you can make very strong cases against these individuals.
Right.
I mean, and so it is a felony. I didn't know. So was there a follow-up? I mean, your point is yes, that's against the law. So what's your other question then?
So so my question is, if an adult is in the process of committing a felony, if he's robbing a bank and he's killed while robbing the bank, then normally, the fact that he was killed he was committing a crime, and if you're killed during the commission of a crime, you should be punished, but not to the extent this Ms. Brown was punished. She was a child, so I don't understand why there was such an issue.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, I think he's talking about the Centoya Brown case, and she was 16, I think. It was 16 at the time. And so, and of course, the governor commuted her sentence, and she did serve, what was it? I think she's not out yet, but when she gets out, she will have served the equivalent of a sentence for a second-degree murder charge. But in these cases, all right, those who are convicted of sex crimes against children are not executed. Okay, what happened with Centoya Brown is a different situation. I think you're mixing things up. It's questions of self-defense and all of that come into play. But I mean, a felony, you're going to go away and do some hard time, and you're going to end up on the sex offender registry.
And I want to just respond to the caller, because I think he raises a really strong point, and I'm not familiar enough with her sentencing, and I'm not familiar with what she got and all of that, but he does raise a really great point.
Okay, which one? What are you referring to?
Well, that she, as a juvenile, was in prison. She was, he was, the 40-year-old was. I mean, she was being sex trafficked, and he was trying to have sex with her, and she killed him. And so I think there's a lot there. He raises a really good point.
Well, yesterday our topic of the show was human trafficking, sex slavery. And a lot of the children that are in this sex slavery, and it's a big issue here in Tennessee. It's one of the, it happens and you don't even see it. 13 years and younger.
Right.
Is what's happening. And so, I'm trying to think. There is not a prototypical case of what you see, is there?
No, there isn't. And there are many many community partners who are banding together now, and our kids will be represented on this. But we're looking at forming a task force, helping form a task force about juvenile sex trafficking, and looking at how do we do a better job of recognizing it.
Right, that's what we talked about yesterday.
It's really it's a very complicated situation.
Yeah, well, and a lot of those kids that end up in those horrible situations were at-risk kids to begin with, in one situation or another, and had a tough background. We talked about the Soup Sunday, and we'll go into more detail about this, but I want you to talk about whatiftitold.com.
Yes. So I brought you a bag, and it's this.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes. So a year and a half ago, the board and staff decided that we have a lot of expertise. We have evaluated over 27,000 children in our then 30-year history. We wanted to do something more. We wanted to tell our story, but we wanted to really create a larger vista. And we were working with videographer Mac Perkle, who's a dear friend and a supporter of our kids, and I said, I want an anthem video.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
That's much bigger than our kids. That's a national campaign, and so he did this unbelievably beautiful, powerful, and actually very hopeful 2-minute video. The voiceover is beautiful, and at the end it says, "Believe and protect the child. Embrace the adult. They are courageous." So the two reasons why we wanted to do this is because we wanted to make sure that people that across the nation, that we start a conversation that child sexual abuse really happens in every community. The second, and so that people need to educate themselves so they can do a better job of protecting the children in their life, but also responding appropriately. God forbid if anything happens and a child comes and says, Uncle Joey did this and it scared me or whatever. But the other reason why we want to do it is because there are millions of adult survivors, Nick, and who are carrying shame and guilt and stigma that shouldn't belong to them. It doesn't belong to them. There is so much suffering around this issue, and we really felt like, creating this video, and actually at the strategic pivot last year, board and staff branded, we were like going, what do we call it? Because this isn't about our kids, this is a national thing. What if I told you? Because that's so often what adult survivors have told me, have started the conversation when they disclose to me. It happens every week in clinic at our kids. A caregiver will say, y'all are not judging me, you are listening to my story, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you something that I've never told anybody. My grandfather abused me when I was 6 years old. And it's just like this dark, wet blanket that's like, on me all the time. So the 2-minute video, there's also a 1-minute and a 30-second version. It is embedded in the most beautiful and intuitive website, and it has, I need help, I want information, and I want to share this information. And so we have national links. If you need to report child sexual abuse, you say, you go to I need help, you click on the reporting link, and then you type in your zip code, and it gives you the number to call. It even gives you access to somebody to actually talk to. If you're looking for a child advocacy center closest to you, there are 881 in this country. So you click on that and you type in your zip code. It's like that, and we're linking to things like RAIN, which is Rape and Incest National Network. We link to NBCC, the National Board of Certified Counselors. When adult survivors are ready to get a little help, there's the link.
Okay.
And the thing is, sometimes, sometimes it's just the message to adult survivors. This was never your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. You are courageous.
But they never came forward. And so that's why I think the numbers are skewed. We hear what the percentages are, and I'm just telling you, that's what we know. I think they're way high.
Oh, I know. Child sexual abuse is the most underreported crime of any crime.
Yeah. All right, listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, I want to get what you perceive to be the definition of inappropriate touching, and how that's viewed, just so people understand, like, oh, what is child sex abuse? I think we all know some of the very obvious cases, but are there gray areas? I don't know. We can get into that, and maybe that's more of a question for prosecutors, but from your point of view and what you've seen, what someone should perceive, or if they're wondering, well, was that wrong? Well, I think it comes down to how you feel about something and what's done to you. So we'll get into that. We can take more of your phone calls if you'd like right after this. Stay with us.